So today I'll be showing you how you can overcome the limitations of Ableton Live Lite and Intro in order to get more out of it before you need to upgrade to a more complete version of Ableton. So the limitations that I'm going to be showing you how to overcome are a lack of good sounds or instruments for your genre, a lack of good effects plugins for mixing and mastering, and also a limited track count. So first things first, let's help you overcome the fact that there are a selection of sounds and instruments inside Ableton Live Lite and Intro, but they're not very extensive and they don't cover a massive range of genres. So when you're making electronic music, having high quality samples in the genre that you want to make is so important for a number of reasons. Number one, it helps you get inspiration. Listening to loops might make you think, oh yeah, cool, that's the kind of thing that I want to go for, even if you're not sort of taking the loop and just using that. And also having high quality samples reduces the need for really intense mixing and mastering. You know, if you're putting good stuff in or great samples in, then it's going to be easier to get great stuff out the other side rather than feeding in bad samples or samples that don't suit your sound and really trying to mangle them using mixing and mastering into something that's going to sound good. You know, you put good stuff in, you get good stuff out. Now, the approach that I tend to recommend when building up a library of samples that you can draw on is a sort of two-pronged approach. Firstly, having a set of core sample packs that you use in almost all of your projects. So 2 or 3 of these tend to do the trick to get started with. And secondly, having a sample service that you can call on for those odds and bits that you maybe won't find in your core packs, but you think, oh yeah, I just want a shout or this certain kind of sound. You're going to be able to find those from a sample service when they might not be in your packs. So for building up your library of core sample packs, where I recommend 2 or 3, I'd recommend Production Music Live or Audio Tent if you're making house or techno. And for all other genres, you can check out Vengeance or other similar sites to get you started with just a few packs that have loads of drum sounds, some bass hits, and some good loops and stuff. As I say, for inspiration, you're going to get most of your drum hits, I think, from these core packs, some synth hits, and some other bits of inspiration from these packs, and then just add to them with a sample service, which we'll talk about now. When I say a sample service, I'm talking about normally a subscription service, something like Splice or Loop Masters and Loop Cloud. I'm going to be doing some more videos on that later on, so let me know in the comments if you have any questions about those. But they're really good for, as I say, just saying, I need just this like vocal shout or this, I don't know, orchestral hit or something random like that you might not find in your packs, but that has you covered for all of your sample needs. Ableton Live Lite and Intro don't come with a synthesizer. They have sample-based instruments, but they don't have any synthesizers in them. So what I would recommend is picking up a synthesizer, because that comes into all genres of music production. Just get the one and learn it inside out instead of buying a bunch and not really knowing how to use any of them. The one that I would personally recommend is Serum, which you may or may not have heard of. I find this the best one to learn sound design with because you've got a load of great sounds in there to start with. It's very popular, so a lot of people make presets for it that you can use and just sort of whack into your tracks straight off the bat, which sound really good. And finally, I think it's the most intuitive, so it's the most visual. And when teaching sound design, I always use Serum because it is so visual and it's easy to see when you assign this to this is what happens, and you can see it, and it's much easier to hear the differences that you're making. You can get Serum on a rent to own plan, so you pay $8 or $9 a month and you get access, and once you've paid off the full amount, you stop paying and you own it outright. There's a link below to that if you want to get set up with that. I'll also drop a link below to some resources that I have to help you learn Serum from the ground up. Next up, let's address the fact that Ableton Live Lite and Intro do have some audio effects like EQ and compression, but they don't have a massive range, and the EQ isn't really great in the introductory versions. We've got channel EQ, which you can do a fair amount with, but EQ and compression are 2 of the most important effects that you're going to use. So I am going to share some tips now for getting set up with some better ones. First of all, if you've got Ableton Live Lite, then you've probably bought a hardware product that's come bundled with. So double check what else comes with that. If you've got a Focusrite Scarlett, for example, then you get access to the Red plugin suite, which is an EQ and a compressor based on old hardware EQs and compressors, which are really famous, really high end. So that's an EQ and a compressor that you've got for free there, which sound absolutely great, really easy to use. So definitely check what bundled software you've got if you've got a hardware product. Another great option if you don't have any bundled software that you can use is looking for some free EQ and compression plugins. So the best EQ that I've found for free is the Blue Cat Triple EQ, which you can get through Plugin Boutique at the time of recording this video. This might change depending on when you watch this, but I'm looking at it now and it's a parametric EQ, which means that you can adjust the bands, move them around, and be really flexible. And EQ really helps to shape your mix, so it's important to get a good one. Definitely have a look at this one. I think it's really worth checking out. And my final tip here on the effects section is to check out the Melder Free Effects bundle. Now, this is a really cool looking bundle. I'm having to scroll down now, and you've got loads of cool stuff in here. You won't use all of it, but you've got things like an auto pan, which is really good. You've got a compressor in there. I think there's an EQ as well. Loads of stuff that can potentially be useful. A phaser, a saturator, a ring modulator, and it's all free. So you don't have all of the features, but you definitely have enough to get started with, and you can upgrade if you find yourself wanting more of these features. But yeah, this is a really cool thing to go for. Okay, I said I was done with effects, but I'm not quite. I want to show you two more bundles of plugins which are paid and are quite expensive, but if you get set up with these, then you are absolutely done with effects for life. I promise you that. Soundtoys is a really, really cool effect suite, which is sort of the creative effect suite. So you've got Decapitator, which is one of the best saturators out there. You've got Echo Boy, which is a really, really cool delay plugin. You've also got loads of other bits like little Alter Boy and plate reverbs and stuff in there that sound really cool. And there's loads of presets that you can load up in the effect rack, which you can just say, oh, I want a kind of delay. And it's got loads of options where it's going to put plugins in a row for you and give you some really crazy outcomes. So Soundtoys is a really, really cool place to look. Hang on until Black Friday if you can, because they always have really good deals, and they do deals throughout the year, so keep an eye on that. And where Soundtoys are kind of the leaders in the creative effects section, when it comes to the more technical things like compression and EQ, FabFilter absolutely lead the way. So they've got a plugin here called Saturn, which I use in pretty much all of my tracks. Their EQs are also fantastic, compressors, etc. As I say, really an industry standard. If you get set up with this, you are done with effects for life. So they are sort of higher end, so definitely check out the free versions of bits that I mentioned earlier on. But if you do just want to get set up, set for life, FabFilter and Soundtoys are really going to do the trick for you. And the final limitation that we're going to talk about in this video is the fact that you have a limited track count in Ableton Live Lite and Intro. So there are a few things that you can do to get around this. We're going to talk about drum racks and then a little sort of hack that I've come up with myself. So first things first, drum racks. In the drum section on the left-hand side here, you've got a bunch of kits that Ableton have made themselves, which you can load in, like the 909 kit here. This means that all of your drums are coming through just the one track. You can adjust the volumes individually, so you're not just sort of stuck with whatever they are. You can still mix your drums, pan, mute, etc., which is really cool. And yeah, as I say, it means that that's only going through one track. So you're not using 8 tracks for your drums and then maxing out your track count. And one of the issues that people have when they use drum racks is if they want to add effects to the individual elements in the rack, like they want to add reverb to the clap, for example, you can't do that using the sends that you've got here. If you turn up send A here, then you're going to be putting reverb on everything, which isn't what you want. So let me show you a little trick to get around that. We're going to come down here into the chain list and we're going to press R just here. Make sure that this is checked yellow. And what you can see down here is something that says drop audio effects here. I'm going to come into audio effects. I'm going to grab a reverb and do what it says, drop an audio effect there. Now what we're going to see is when we open this up, we've got sends in here, which allow us, my reverb is send B. So if I wanted to add reverb to just the clap, I can turn up send B just there. This is a really cool hack because I'm not using the return tracks in here, so that gives us an extra place to add effects. And yeah, it means that you overcome that issue of not having to use these sends just on all of the drums. You can have effects, reverbs, delays, sidechain compression going on inside the rack, which is really cool. And the other trick that I wanted to show you is using something called resampling, which essentially allows you to record Ableton Live's output into an audio track. So the example that I'll give you here is I've got these drums here. Let's say you didn't want to use a drum rack and you wanted to use individual tracks. That's the way you like to work. Fair enough. Let's have a listen to this absolutely game-changing drum beat that I've got here. Beatport number 1 all day long. So what I want to do is create an audio file of all of these drums and then get rid of the tracks, but I still want to be able to edit them afterwards. This is possible. So what I'm going to do is create an audio track. I'm going to set the input or the audio from to be resampling. Now what this is doing is taking Ableton Live's output, which is the drums, bringing them into this track, and then we can record in here. So I'm going to do this in the arrangement view. Oh, actually, no, let's do it here in the session view and just record a little clip into here. What I'm going to do is if I had other elements in here, like a bass and everything, and I just wanted to record the drums, then I'd need to solo the drums, but we don't need to do that because we've just got the drums in here. So what I'm going to do is hit record on this clip. We're going to get a count in, and then the drums are going to record into a clip here on this audio track. So let's do that now. Great stuff. So there we go. I've got my drums recorded into there. You can mix them in here beforehand, set your volumes, EQ, whatever you want to do. And that's all going to be captured just in here for you. All very well. But now if I delete these and I decide I just need to turn the volume of the clap down, I want to take that percussion hit out, blah, 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 you can't go back and change that. Not ideal. So what I'm going to do is undo what I just did there. And I've got this audio file here of the drums recording, which I've soloed. And what I did here is I grouped all of the drums. So let me just take these out so that I can show you how I did that. But actually, I don't need to. All I did is clicked on the first one, hold down Shift and select the last one to select all of them. Right click and then group will be an option here. And that puts them into a group just like this for you, which I renamed drums. What I can then do is come into current project on the left and drag drums into here. You can see that I did this in a practice run. So I'm going to rename this drums 2. Awesome. And now what I can do is delete this and carry on building my track. What I can do then, if I wanted to go back and edit the drums, I can open up drums 2, which is going to open up a separate Ableton Live project. But don't worry, this doesn't get too complicated. We can make this work. Drums 2, save what you are currently doing, and we're back in here. So what we can then do is say, right, I wanted to pan this left and I wanted to pan this right and I wanted to turn this down, blah, 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 make the changes you want to make. Do the resampling trick again, so make an audio track, resampling, and record. Cool, so I've now recorded the edited version of the drums that I want, and this is called 8 Audio 2. What we can now do is save this drums 2, go back into your main project, And under this drums 2 section, we've got that 8 audio 2. Boom. Now we've got our adjusted drums in there. So it is a little bit hacky, but it does help you overcome that sort of limited track count that you have here in Ableton Live Lite or Intro. If you've watched this video and you've thought, absolutely not, that's such a faff, I just want to upgrade my version of Ableton, that's absolutely fine. I've made a video showing you how to get Ableton for the best possible price, so I'll link that up on the card right now. And if you want to learn Ableton Live in a little bit more depth and be able to make tracks that sound great in clubs and that labels will want to sign, then I definitely recommend checking out my Ableton Accelerator full course, which the details of are in the description down below this video. Thanks for spending a bit of time with me today. I hope it's been helpful, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Take care.